Joining us now is Ann Coulter, of course, massive best-selling author. Her latest smash, Demonic, How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America. And meanwhile, we have several unforced errors by Herman Cain yesterday, which we will get to. Ann, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Laura?
I'm doing great, and we'll get to Cain in a minute. But what do you make of what's happening with Gingrich? You know, first the crush was on Bachmann, then the people moved their affection to Perry, and then from Perry to Cain, and Cain, could it go permanently and reside permanently in Gingrich?
I think the liberal media will stop at nothing to screw up the Republican primary. No, I do not think Newt would be our ideal presidential candidate for any number of reasons. I mean, he said last night on Hannity that his cutting an ad with Nancy Pelosi on the urgency of global warming was a terrible mistake, and he shouldn't have done it. But he did it, and it has all of the earmarks of the chubby boy who desperately wants to be liked. It has that McCain feel of sucking up to the left in it. Back when he was Speaker, and the one black Republican congressman we had was J.C. Watts. Watts gave a fantastic interview with the Washington Post, in which he didn't name any names, but he denounced what he called the poverty pimps on the left who wanted to keep blacks on welfare so they would be dependent and keep voting for the Democrats. And the Washington Post inserted, like Jesse Jackson, Newt Gingrich apologized to Jesse Jackson on J.C. Watts' behalf. J.C. Watts didn't apologize. No, the white man will apologize.
Now, who's going to remember that, Ann?
Man.
I mean, I hear you. I mean, and look, all these guys have warts, scales, guys. They all have frailties.
I think the marital history it has to be considered.
Who's better now, Cain?
Times constantly telling us that we love blended families in America, and Americans don't care about divorce anymore. All the divorce candidates always lose. There's only one president divorced. We have only had one divorced president in the nation's history, and that was Ronald Reagan, whose wife left him. I think most Americans didn't even realize he had been married earlier. So, no, I think it would be a mistake to turn to Newt Gingrich.
So you slapping on the Romney button at this point, then, because that's probably pretty much the only alternative at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought it would be Romney since 2008, and unless my true love Chris Christie jumped in, he isn't. So
he's for Romney, so it's the same person. He's for Romney. He's campaigning for Romney all over the place.
Well, that's certainly a feather in Romney's cap.
Well, do you think that in 10 or 15 years, young people who then will be adults will be saying, "I was there when Mitt Romney took on the Democrat machine, and I'm a Romney conservative"? Do you really think that?
No, but will they say I'm a Newt Gingrich conservative? Or
I could see that. I actually could see people saying that, because so far, other than Herman Cain at his best moments, Newt Gingrich is the only person who consistently gets crowds excited and brings people to their feet. And I think that enthusiasm is desperately needed. I think we learned some of this with these lessons from last night's referenda across the United States. You need to have someone who can articulately and clearly and concisely brand conservatism at every level. And believe me, I know Newt has his big warts, but I think all these guys have big warts.
Yeah, I don't see that at all with Newt. He puts me to sleep, and people don't pay that close attention when he's talking. I think they go into a little bit of a fog, but, I mean, just in the recent debates, what is this about Pell Grants for all students? Just send education back to the states. He did support Romney Care when Heritage was promoting it. He is a big government conservative. He's no Ronald Reagan. And, yes, I understand that right now conservatives feel like we're in the same position we were in 1980.
96.
We just had
96.
4 years of Carter, except worse than Carter, and we could get a Reagan in. Wow, it would be fantastic if we had a Reagan to run, but we don't. I mean...
Well, who's the next best thing, Romney? I mean, I just keep going back to the other person.
I'd take Cain, Bachmann... I'd take pretty much any of them over Newt Gingrich.
You have to know how to walk through this fire.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fire for Romney or anyone, whoever is a nominee, they're going to be in the fire. You got to know how to walk through that fire, and I keep submitting. Newt Gingrich knows how to walk through the fire. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think so. It was kind of embarrassing in the middle of an impeachment, finding out that he was having an affair with his aide, and in the middle of the government shutdown to find out that he, was annoyed because Clinton didn't invite him to the front of the plane. I mean, that was a great Republican Congress. I moved to Washington to work for the Senate then. But back to Kaine, yes, there have been a lot of mistakes. I can understand why Block made that mistake. They're unusual names, but that is a very bad mistake. I do think there's a fair amount of evidence that the Democrat machine is about it, which I'll be writing about in my column that goes up at 6 p.m. tonight. And I think the connections will dazzle you. But I think Kaine isn't ready to be the top nominee because the mainstream media and the Obama campaign played dirty, and you need somebody who's absolutely at the top of his game. And that is one thing Romney has, though he may be a country club Republican, and you and I will spend the next 8 years making fun of him.
Well, you've got to look at Romney here. I mean, he has handled this thing brilliantly, right? People say, well, he's not coming on this show, he's not coming on that show. Well, it's worked out pretty well for him. I mean, you can criticize him, but he's actually up in the polls. Okay,
right,
so far that's a winning strategy.
Yes. Yes, and
I think
watch the debates, and I recommend to your viewers or listeners that they do watch tonight. I mean, friends of mine have been annoyed with me for saying Romney has been very good in these debates. Every one of them, I say, please, just watch one debate.
No, he's been great in the debates.
They say, you're right. It's got to be Romney.
No. He's been terrific in the debates, and I mean, he has it down cold. He's disciplined.
Yeah.
He doesn't unnecessarily, I think go off onto these tangents that always get these people in trouble. He wouldn't be the kind of guy who would get up there and say, start talking about lie detector tests. I mean, God bless Herman Cain. I really like him, but you can't get up there and start saying lie detector tests because that's ultimately going to burrow down into the sensibility of people and think, wait a second, guys, a lie detector test, and he's expecting other women to come out. And
yes,
and
I also
think
kind of like his flip-flopping because, unlike John McCain, who would do outrageous left-wing things to suck up to the New York Times and then defiantly stand by them, I think we can push Romney around. He's sounding like a real conservative these days.
Well, I hope that, I'm not right, that Romney, I've said a couple of times, Ann, Romney will never be as conservative as he is right at this moment. That's my great concern.
Though I think he has learned, and most of his most liberal stuff was when he was running against Teddy Kennedy. And if he had taken out Teddy Kennedy, we would have made him, Pope.
Yeah, that old YouTube is a rough one, though. That when you watch that YouTube debate, I mean, on every issue, that is just rough. He looks good, but that's a rough one. And I can't wait I can't wait to read your piece coming out at 6 tonight.
Yes, it will at AnnCoulter.com.
Excellent. I'll be hosting O'Reilly, so hopefully maybe I can get a sneak peek of it even.
Oh, I'll try to send
I'll email you. Yeah, I'll email you before I start the hosting. And thank you for your perspective as always. We love having you on.
Great to talk to you, Laura.